All right. All right. Now we begin. Now we begin the show that we deserve, right? The show that we deserve. Insights and analysis which won't lead to paralysis. Let me just go live on LinkedIn. All right, live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn, now going live on WhatsApp. (191) episode 191. My god, how does time fly? 191 days. There you go. There you go. Live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn. Send the message on WhatsApp. And now we shall begin. The show that we deserve. The show that we deserve. Let me check myself on YouTube. Send the message on. Good, good. Let me check myself on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's good. Inching towards 200. Very recently was the 100th episode. Says Mr. Tashad Tari. Yes. Time flies, man. Time flies so quickly. You're right, Mr. Tiwari. 200 days, 200 days. Wow. Kaka De Patil. Hi भैया. मराठी येते क्या भैया तुम्हाला? नहीं, मराठी नहीं आती. Hindi, English, a little bit of Japanese. Anyway, let's begin, folks. The show that we deserve. The show that we deserve. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We are having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis that don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! Oh, but before we go, we have this tradition to follow, the sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and it'll bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a copper mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I like some hot water with black pepper in it. Here we go. Beautiful. Let's do it again. Sublime. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? It says that you are not alone. It says that we are in this together, which is such a beautiful thing to say. with that out of the way, let's begin. A lot of things happening, folks. There are a few comments which I should address. माज नाव निकिता आहे. ओह, आपका नाम निकिता है. ओके. मैं भी येसी लाइव लेती हूँ. इसका क्या फ़ायदा है भैया? मेरे को तो अभी तक कोई फ़ायदा नहीं हुआ. मैं भी ऐसी लिव लेती हूँ. ज़्यादा व्यूज क्यों नहीं आती लेकिन? समझ नहीं आ रहा मेरे को. Sorry about that. But anyway, let's move on. So a lot of things happening, folks. India and US BTA looks like it's coming close to completion. Mr. Modi met Mr. Trump, right? And they talked about how these talks are progressing. Trump said that this deal is going to happen soon. Recently, U.S. representatives had said that Trump, they are very happy with the offer that India has made. Really happy with the offer, they had said. Today, Mr. Peeyush Goyal has said, if they're so happy, they should sign on the dotted line. That's a pretty badass statement. Very nice. Speaking of India and US, Trump has unveiled the gold card. He had said the green card is not that good enough. It takes forever to get a green card and it doesn't work. So the gold card, the companies can buy on students' behalf and then they can live for a reasonably long period of time in India. So the new gold card has been unveiled, which is supposed to help Indian students who, according to Trump, have to go away. Such a shame. And so on. ऐसी लाइव में व्यूज़ क्यों नहीं आते हैं ज़्यादा? पता नहीं क्यों नहीं आते क्योंकि फॉर्मेट जो है वही लीनियर है. ये शायद लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग, आई डोंट नो. Might be asking how to increase views on video. She may be doing something similar to you. Same problem as to increase viewership. Well, I've literally given up on it. That's what I was also thinking. So Nikita दीदी, व्यूज़ लाइव के आना पता नहीं कैसे आते हैं, मुझे नहीं पता. काफ़ी लेडीज़ को देखा है मैंने, वो ला पाती हैं व्यूज़. और व्यूज़ का एक अलग ही सिलसिला है जिसके बारे में मैं बिल्कुल नहीं जानता. सॉरी, मैं आपको हेल्प नहीं कर पाऊँगा. इसमें आपकी कोई सहायता नहीं कर पाऊँगा. जैसे अमिताभ बच्चन जी ने कहा था. So let's move forward. So while that's happening, right, India's position in the global markets, it's seemingly better because it's being referred to as an oasis of tranquility amidst the global turbulence. That is something good that is happening for people. Secondly, the most important thing is that after the rate cuts that happened, the Fed rate cut which happened, Indian markets essentially picked up. A lot of markets picked up. India ended its drought of 4 days by going up in the last trading session. So markets are going to be up. The era of quantitative easing, as we said, is up. And that is good news, right? That is great news, at least for the markets. While everything stays, right? While the AI thing, the investments, the OpenAI troubles, the Nvidia troubles, the Oracle bet, and so on and so forth. It's difficult, right? So that's what's happening. But for now, the markets are gonna have a few good days, which is awesome. So some comments here. Mr. Sumant Kumar, maybe timing is the issue. People might be getting ready or traveling to their workplace. A dance step after every news item may increase views. वर्टिकल लाइव में व्यूज़ बहुत आते हैं. इन टाइम 200-300 आते हैं, लेकिन इस लाइव में नहीं आते हैं. ओके, वर्टिकल लाइव में आते हैं, इस लाइव में नहीं आते हैं. अंडरस्टूड. दैट्स ग्रेट. If we are talking about this, folks, I should inform you, I have made a decision. It is gonna be a little weird for you, because I have not been able to get a lot of viewership. Our TRPs would have sucked. if we were counting TRPs. But we've had very extremely loyal viewership, and those viewers have been with us through thick and thin. So it's 190 episodes, not just for me, but for a lot of regular viewers, including Mr. Tiwari, including Mr. Patil, including Mr. Sumant Kumar, Mr. Rajakumar, many people who consistently view the episodes without fail. So it's been that. But now I have taken the decision to wind this up. So on the 200th episode, essentially, I'll wind it up, right? So why do I have to wind it up? I have to because what I've realized is if something clicks, it clicks instantly. If something doesn't click, it it doesn't click at all. So while we did our best, like I've been waking up at 5:30, reading for 1.5 hours, trying to bring the best insights possible, right? Uh, our daily viewer count has been somewhere around 50 to 100 viewers, right, every day. And that has been since the beginning of the show. Mr. Abhishek, all the good people, right? They have been with us. However, it's not grown at all for many reasons, and that has sort of hurt a lot of time because it takes a lot of time. It's very hard work, right? You've got to read every day. You're thinking about insights in a way. It's like having a job. People do this full time, right? And I already have a job. So I have to do this with that job. And I thought that it'd be a very good routine, it'd be a very good tribute for Scott Adams, sir. And it'll lead to a new way for me to interact with people. But all this while, we've been stuck in a very small circle of very good friends. So I've made very good friends, right? Mr. Sumant Kumar, Mr. Tashad Tari, Mr. Chirag Patil, Mr. Aditya Belhe, and all of these people who've been very good viewers. But we've been just what we've been since the beginning. We've not grown at all. And we've got to take a call on what we need to do, right? I could do this for another 200 episodes, but time is of essence, right? Time is valuable. Time is the only finite thing I have, right? Only resource essentially which I have. And I have to make sure that whatever I'm doing uh, doesn't really end up hurting whatever I'm trying to do. So what used to happen was people used to join my WhatsApp community. Okay, now my WhatsApp has about 3,000 people, right? Now those 3,000 people, because of Thinker's frequency, I have to ping them every day, right? So most of them have apparently muted the ping. Now whenever I write a post on LinkedIn, right, they don't get a reach because LinkedIn has obviously been shadow banning me for a very long time because of the kind of stuff I post. And these people who joined my WhatsApp, they have, you know, they can't follow through the daily dose of 8 p.m., 8 a.m. So my reach has gotten killed despite whatever has been happening, in my life. And that's been happening since 200 days. So I started this when things were really happening in a good way, right? And ever since this happened, it's like my reach has nosedived, and that is hurting because if I write an article, I can get 1 lakh views, right? Now I don't get that anymore, and I also don't get any impressions on this particular effort. So all of this goes out of the window, right? So we'll have to wind it up. 200 episodes. We're not gonna do this weekend. We're not gonna do weekends. But 191, we're gonna have 9 more episodes, and on 200, we wind it up. So that is for the insights, right? But I'm gonna miss the simultaneous sip with you guys. That's for sure. It has been beautiful. It's been a beautiful routine. A lot of people benefited, but unfortunately, I also got a hint, right? Because when we were trying to raise money to keep the intern, only Mr. Sumant Kumar essentially came forward and helped. That is also very difficult to accept, but a pure signal of what's happening. Does this really have that value that you thought it would, right? And it did. So, unfortunately, we've got to go. But the good thing is that we tried, The effort was beautiful. We all worked really hard, and now hopefully, I'm sure, for me, I can say we are very, very uh, like much better at the analysis skill, right? Much better knowledge wise. We have a bunch of mental models that work, always work. They've always shown to work, and that's very, very good news for all of us. So we've improved by leaps and bounds. I've improved as a reader, I've improved as a speaker, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, Hopefully, a lot of that has come to you as well. And with that, that was a necessary engagement. And thanks to Kaka D. Patil for starting this discussion, right? हिंदी में बात करो भैया, मुझे इंग्लिश समझ में आती है लेकिन ज़्यादा नहीं. सॉरी दीदी, सॉरी. ये शो इंग्लिश में था, तो ये इंग्लिश में ही करते हैं हम ये शो. बट थैंक यू, आपने इसको ज्वाइन किया. हम थोड़ा बिजनेस डिस्कस करते हैं इसमें, तो शायद आपको वैसे भी इतना इंटरेस्ट ना है. अगर आप बिजनेस में इंटरेस्ट रखती हैं तो ट्राई एंड फॉलो थ्रू. सो लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड फोक्स with whatever is happening, right, in India and US relationship. A lot is happening in India, US and Pakistan's relationship as well. Pakistan is getting a $686 million deal for F-16s, right? That is a pretty big deal, right? 686 for F-16s. This is happening while Pakistan and Afghanistan are on a practically a war situation. India has raised concerns in the global forum about how Pakistan is hurting Afghanistan, and that's a humanitarian issue, and that's what's going on. So US, while dealing with India, is continuing to deal with Pakistan, which is a starkly opposite strategy as compared to the first Trump term. So that is a very bad news for the country, right? So screw Trump and screw the US administration. They are not what they used to be or what we were hoping them to be. Speaking of Indian domestic business ecosystem, IndiGo. IndiGo has to offer 10,000 rupee coupon for severely impacted passengers. What do those severely impacted passengers mean? Mr. Tashad Tari was stuck for a day in Vietnam, during his return flight from Vietnam. Is that severely impacted, or is it moderately impacted? Who's gonna decide, right? But that's what's happening. Indigo is this particular effort is gonna cost about 500 crores, and this is in addition to the multi-hundred crore loss that Indigo is going to incur because of the government's norm of 10% decrease as far as its flights are considered. So that's gonna hurt Indigo in pretty solid ways, right? Let's see how the situation unfolds. The bad news isn't over for Indigo yet. There's gonna be more bad news coming, and it's gonna be very interesting how Indigo deals with that situation. The beauty is that no matter how much government hurts or tries to hurt Indigo, there is nobody who can take its place yet, right? Not Akasa, not Air India, not SpiceJet, nobody else, right? Which essentially puts the government in a lockstep kind of a situation. It won't be able to do anything about it, right? Moving on, folks. Reliance Retail is looking at going public. Reliance Retail, one of the flagship firms, the big firms of RIL's, umbrella. They're going to be going public in 3 years. This move of going public is going to be happening after Jio's going public. Jio is going to go public next year. Based on how that goes, right? It's going to take a 2-year acclimatization period, and then Reliance Retail is going to go public. Reliance Retail is India's largest retailer by a mile. It has revenues of about 3 lakh crores per year, right? That's the scale. It's unimaginably huge when it comes to scale. So Reliance Retail going public would be a very, very, very big deal. At this moment, Reliance is focusing on its retail network. It expanded very, very rapidly during 2022 and 2023. Those expansion days are over, right? Now it's not going to grow that fast, uh, which is a problem. However, it's rationalizing its store count, focusing on quick commerce and so on and so forth. It says that most of its deliveries have happened successfully under 30 minutes, and the scale of its deliveries is going up. So a lot of good news when it comes to Reliance Retail, and of course, Reliance Retail going public will be a very, very big deal for Indian public markets. And if you remember, this is an ongoing story because SEBI was looking at enabling big companies to go public in India, which wasn't possible until recently because of the public float requirements. As those public float requirements have been relaxed, right? Geo can go public, and soon Reliance Retail will as well. So that's what's going on. Thanks भैया, बट आपने मुझे बहुत अच्छे से समझाया. Thank you so much, दीदी. Moving on, Fairfax frontrunner in IDBI stake sale. So IDBI stake sale is happening. Kotak is in fray. Fairfax is also in the fray, right? Kotak Mahindra cash and stock, but Fairfax is a pure cash deal. That's what's happening. IDBI total income financials in FY25 were 34,000 crores with a net profit of 7,500 crores. Deposits of 3 lakh crores, right? And they're collectively selling 60.72% in the stake, the government and LIC. So they launched the stake sale, and now Fairfax is likely to be winning this particular bid. Let's see how this particular, uh, you know, transaction proceeds. Very, very complicated transactions happening worldwide. We just discussed the whole Netflix, Warner Brothers, uh, Paramount deal as well. All these times, these discussions are always very interesting. You know, if you want to watch a movie, one of the best movies that have ever been made on takeover bids, it's a legendary movie. It's called Barbarians at the Gate, right? Barbarians at the Gate, beautiful film. It's about RJR Nabisco's takeover, the cigarette company, and it was a huge, huge takeover, somewhere around 50-80 billion dollars during that time, right? And it was called Barbarians at the Gate, and how that particular PE transaction moved forward. So it was huge, and you'd watch, love that movie. It was a sort of a documentary drama kind of a play, but it is one of the most legendary works of cinema uh, ever, right? When it comes to private equity deals and transactions, it's just beautiful. The movie was incredible. Barbarians at the Gate. It was based on a book, by the way. So it was a book which got adapted into a movie, and both of those things were very, very legendary. In fact, Barbarians at the Gate is now a catchphrase, right? For vulture capitalists and so on and so forth. So that's what's a good, play. Speaking of movies, folks, do you know what's happening with Dhurandhar? Right? Dhurandhar is doing really, really well at the box office. It's close to, Friday included, it'll cross 200 CR. Uh, Next weekend, let's see what happens. I had written an article. Interestingly, that article organically picked up by Google. So, generally, what I do is I write articles on LinkedIn, Substack, and the same article I put it on my website because screw big tech, right? And then people are free to view that website article, right? And generally, those articles just stay there because not many people visit my website, of course, as compared to all of these social networking platforms, but they go, right? But this particular article really picked up the economics of Dhurandhar. That article was titled on my website and has already gotten over 1,500 some views, right? And people have started coming forward, and they are actually coming forward and messaging me on social networks that, hey, I read your article on Dhurandhar. It's very insightful. So that's one of the very rare and interesting breakout stories when it comes to Google organically picking your article, despite the search era essentially over, right? So all 100% organic traffic coming in from Google. That's awesome. Speaking of that, right? If you're talking about Dhurandhar, I had said that Dhurandhar optimistically would be about 600, over 600 CR at the box office, at which there'll not be a lot of money, right? That discussion still stays very valid and it's getting appreciated a lot. However, on a side note, Dhurandhar has stoked a pretty big conflict, a pretty big firestorm, right? When it comes to the world of film criticism, if you've been a movie buff, right, India has no film criticism. India has no film awards, fraternity, and no film criticism. Our film criticism has been an utter and shameful joke. Our film critics have not been film critics, they've been, political uh, apologists and ideologues with an apron of film criticism. That's what our film market has always been. We've made terrible films, and our film criticism has been even worse. That has been Bollywood history, right? But what happened with Dhurandhar was that these film critics, uh, again, political ideologues with the apron of uh, movie love, right? They trashed the movie. And not because they didn't like the movie or they didn't find the craft of the movie, just because they disagreed with its politics, right? And that particular thing blew up on the internet. And in fact, it led a lot, it basically became a, sort of a political crossfire, which led to an unintentional promotion of the film. And on Twitter and on YouTube and everywhere, these people started getting thrashed. There's somebody called Anupama Chopra, and then some Sucharita Tyagi, or some of those people. Now these people wrote terrible reviews. Okay, they trashed the movie for totally unfounded reasons, and that sort of irked people so much that they got back and they screwed these people. Okay, due to which they had to delete their videos and something like that. After they deleted their videos, and after people mocked them mercilessly and relentlessly and incessantly for them, right? They sort of formed, they came out with a statement saying that there is something called an Indian Film Critic Guild, right? And the guild stands by film critics' right to express their opinions. And then people found out that that film critic guild essentially consisted of Anupama Chopra and Sucharita Tyagi as presidents and vice presidents. So these two people who got thrashed by the public, right? They came with a statement from an organization led by them, supporting themselves, and that sort of led to even more jokes on them, right? The people mocked them absolutely, and it's been going on, and this has essentially led to more word of mouth for Dhurandhar. So real political, social, socio-political rigmarole happening around a movie, folks, around a movie. Did you give a shit about these movies, right? Movies had become relics of an era when it came to cultural discourse. Nobody gave a shit about movies, right? Movies used to be very, very prominent. They used to be very important for society in general, but they had far, far outpaced and superseded and subsumed in the cultural zeitgeist by these reels and these other things, right? But this is after many, many years that a movie has become the centerpiece of social discourse, which is amazing, right? Which is awesome. It's just beautiful. Whatever is happening, that's what's happening in the world of movies. Quite a good segue, right? Moving on. India's new nuclear bill set to arrive with Shanti. Uh, Shanti is the name of the nuclear bill. So it was Indian Atomic Energy Bill, right? But it's being renamed, or it's being basically a new act which is formed. It's called Shanti. Shanti is sustainable harnessing of advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India. This is this is objectively hilarious, right? Again, sustainable harnessing of advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India. This is Shanti. This is nuclear bill. They are basically discussing on the whole aspect of privatization, private involvement in the nuclear energy space. One of the very key factors is the indemnity play. You know about the indemnity play, because if private sector is getting involved in the world of nuclear energy, and if something wrong happens, who's going to be the liability holder, right? The civil liability holder, because you can get buried under lawsuits, right? What happens then? So what these people are doing under Shanti rule, the government will be taking over the civil liabilities after a particular threshold has been breached. So let's say if the company has earmarked about 100 crores for civil liabilities, as soon as that 100 crores has been breached, the government will have to step in and take over the civil liability case. That's one of the very key things of Shanti, right? Shanti sounds like, like they really forced it. Atomic energy thing. This is also related to the earlier story I told you about. So just after this Film Critics Guild, right? People mocking, as they were mocking this film critic thing, they came out with their own names of for mocking the film critics, right? So Film Critics Guild got a response from Rama. Rama was a random association of movie aficionados. So a bunch of quirky, witty people, they made Rama, a random association of movie aficionados. They basically gave a full-fledged, well-worded reply to Film Critics Guild. Then Krishna came around. Krishna was Conservatvas Rising Society Honoring New Arts. So Krishna said, Krishna stands with Rama in strongly rejecting the self-pitying. It was just a mocking thing. And then came Hari. Hari was Human Arts Recognition Institute. Okay. So Rama, Krishna, Hari came and screwed the Film Critics Association, Film Critics Guild, which sounds, the Shanti sounds like that, I guess. It's very funny. It's just so hilarious, man, that the era of authority bias is so over. It's so over. I wrote an article, if you remember, about how people have no respect for authority figures anymore, and that's a very, very good thing. So these film critics, they used to feel like, oh, they are so, educated. They're going to teach people about cinema. They're going to let people know what is good cinema, what is bad cinema, even though none of them were Roger Eberts, right? So if you're an actual film critic or a movie buff, you would know about Roger Ebert, one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary movie critic of all time. So I have grown up reading Roger Ebert's reviews of movies, and they were art forms. They were pieces of art in their own right, right? They were so educative, they were so nurturing, they were so appreciative. Most of Roger Ebert's reviews were positive, right? And they taught people on how to look at cinema, what to look for in a cinematic piece of work, right? That's Roger Ebert. None of those people were like Roger Eberts, right? These people were total freaking idiots, right? But they demanded some authority because they were gatekeepers of knowledge of some kind. And now, with the advent of social media, people who've worked on upon their own craft, right? Whether it be movie, love, whether it be reading, whether it be writing, and so on, it's just screwing these people in the rear, right? With no holds barred, no punches pulled. These people are screwed, absolutely screwed. And there's no respect for them whatsoever. And this is true not just for movie business, for movie criticism. This is true for politics. This is true for business. This is true for everything. The era of authority bias is so over, and this is the biggest gift of social networking ever, right? That nobody needs to or does really respect anybody just because they come with a credential, right? With a resume in their hands. So screw these people. Moving on, folks. DOT dials regulator again for suggestions on telemarketers. This is not a surprise for anybody, not a surprise at all. Department of Telecom, telemarketers. The conflict is that telemarketers work with telcos, right? But telcos aren't responsible for telemarketers. Telemarketers have the ability to switch telcos, but telcos essentially get the regulation and compliance overload. So that is a bit of an issue. The issue is also how do you regulate telemarketers, because these people can be, how they can be. They're small businesses essentially. So a lot of rigmarole just to curb the spam thing, right? Now, I agree spam is an issue, right? But do you feel a little weird to see the level of vigilance against the spam issue? Like if there were 10 things that you were worried about in this country, right? Or if there was a list of things that you were worried about in this country, where would spam calls stand in those list of things? I don't think it will be even on the list, right? But these people are so heavy handed on the spam call situation because it's one of the things that actually hurts them. So traffic, the babus don't have to care about the traffic, right? They have their cars, their roads get blocked for them, and so on and so forth, right? They have all sorts of facilities, but even they are not spared from the spam call menace. And you look at the vigilance that they've been dealing with, laying on the spam call situation. It's totally unfounded. I don't think it deserves so much of, you know, action, or let's say so much of effort. A lot of this effort could be better, like a lot of this passion could be better justified in a lot of other places, right? That's what I believe. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm one of the outliers in this case. I don't care about this enough. Or maybe I'm biased because I've been a caller, right? I've been a telecaller. I've been a sales guy. I am still a sales guy. So I call people, not anymore. I mean, the ways of business development have changed. But maybe I'm biased because I have a history of calling people for sales, right? Companies and so on and so forth. So that's what I believe. You remember there was this Prada issue, folks. If you remember, Prada issue. Prada had a fashion show where they displayed Kolhapuri Chappals, right? The Kolhapuri Chappals essentially were, an Indian product. They stole the product, essentially didn't even give them credit, and so on and so forth. It really became a rage on social media that how could a fashion company, which is supposed to, respect copyrights and artistic integrity and so on and so forth, craftsmanship, how could they steal somebody's work so shamelessly? That was one of the concerns. Turns out that social media outrage actually led to something. Prada has launched a $930. $930. That's basically an 80,000 rupee Kolhapuri Chappal, right? Indian sandals. So they're gonna blend the Kolhapuri Chappal craftsmanship with their own, jazz, and it's gonna be an 80,000 rupee Chappal. Well, obviously, I'm not gonna be buying it, but good for Prada, good for Kolhapuri, guys. I'm just enjoying the sip, right? Speaking of enjoying the sip, folks, as I enjoy the sip, somebody's getting married, right? And hopefully somebody's getting married in India. The wed in India business is really kicking in. Couples say I do to wed in India, and hotels are raising a toast. Wedding season set to deliver record hotel revenues amid rising demands across popular and emerging destination. Industry insiders say. A lot of people are saying that this has something to do with Pradhan Mantri's, Mr. Narendra Modi's speech that, wed in India, the whole exotic destination wedding thing, take it in India. There are a lot of exotic destinations in India itself, and that's what's leading to it. I you see a problem with that analysis? Do you know what could be wrong with that particular analysis? Would you like to take a second to guess? These people are claiming that Mr. Modi has something to do with the whole Wed in India rise, right? And I'm saying that this analysis is incorrect. Now, why am I correct in my reading of the situation? Would you like to take a second? I'll take a sip till then. My flask really heats everything up. It's very easy. Prime Minister came out and said, Wed in India. The market started showing growth in Wed in India, weddings in India, and they are giving it a cause and effect relationship. While it could be a correlation relationship, right? It could be just a correlation and they're making it causation, right? Why is it incorrect when it comes to this particular spiel? Would you like to take it? I'll take another sip and then I'll say. Because the wedding season just started, says Mr. Sumant Kumar. No, that is not the accurate read, Mr. Sumant Kumar. The wedding season starts a bit early. So wedding season is in full swing right now. The reason is that Mr. Modi recently said the whole thing. But weddings are not fly-by-night operations which are planned on a whim, right? They take a lot of time to plan. So a lot of the weddings which are happening right now are in all likelihood planned way before PM Modi came out with his spiel. You get it? So weddings are not an affair with you like I'm having a wedding tomorrow. That's not how these things are planned, right? PM Modi recently came out with a speech. So how can you give it a causation effect, right? This thing was getting planned way in advance, right? And if the market is growing, it's growing regardless of Mr. PM's speech. What we can hope for is that particular speech or that particular pitch will result in future weddings, right? That season that is supposed to come, because this particular season is already started. So this is how you differentiate from the noise and the real read between the lines thing. So Radisson Hotel Group's India portfolio posted an 87.1% year-on-year increase in room revenue within the wedding segment last month, supported by 27,000 room nights, which rose 46% over last year with 28% higher average daily rate. So that's what's happening. 11 crore across 15 weddings. A lot of real estate action also happening. A good venues picking up in the north, Jim Corbett, and so on and so forth. Wedding bells are ringing louder. That's what's going on. Hospitality, good news. Wedding business is about 7 to 8 billion, maybe $10 billion business, but it has a lot of second order effects, right? So that's very good. But I salute everybody and anybody who's getting married in this market. Marriages in this market. Despite whatever is happening. Anyway, folks, speaking of weddings, diamonds are closely related to weddings. Russian diamond miner Alrosa is investing $50 million in India for the diamond polishing play. Alrosa is one of the biggest diamond miners and stuff, right? So they are investing $50 million in Surat or Rajkot, somewhere around Surat or Jaipur, sorry. And in those two places, they'll be looking at setting up shops where they could do the diamond polishing business. India has 90% of the entire diamond market when it comes to polishing. Surat is the global hub. 9 out of 10 polished diamonds come from India, right? So this is another investment in that domain. This is in relation, so this is also a developing story. Russia essentially India and Russia have a 59, $65 billion relationship, trade relationship, and India has about $59 billion of trade deficit with Russia in this relationship. So it exports just $4 billion, $4.5 billion, imports the rest, right? So $59 billion of trade deficit, which could be sort of offset or polished with this whole diamond exercise, right? Because this investment is going to lead to a lot of those things here and then a lot of things there. So numbers are going to change. That is the development, right? Always very interesting. Always very interesting. So, rough diamond, yeah, they're going to be setting up a plant in Surat or Jaipur. Moving on, folks. Economists expect consumption to stay strong next year as well. These people have come out with their number crunching. But you know who did the number crunching on the next year's consumption pattern way before these guys? It was me. It was us at Thinkers Frequency. We did the number crunching, and so well, right? We told you that low inflation, GST cuts, and ease of income tax and policy rates bode well for spending. So we've been talking about this for like half a year now, how the consumption pattern is gonna change, and it is changing. So that's what these people are claiming. Nomura pegs 2026 growth at 6.9%. Fitch, I guess, had pegged 7.2, and so on and so forth. Everybody is in that range. Nomura guys, the Japanese guys, are looking at 6.9%, right? Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Good job. Good job. So rural economy on a firm footing. Some numbers if you want to look at. Retail inflation averaged 2.5% in Jan to October 2025, right? If you look at the numbers when it comes to yeah, so yes, this was the number. Chief economist at CareHedge Ratings expects the momentum to stay healthy through though private consumption would moderate to around 7.3% and 7% in FY27 as reliable base effect. So private consumption climbed to a 3-quarter high of 7.9% as compared with 7% preceding quarter. So that's what's happening. Rural economy doing well. Consumption patterns doing well. Let's move on, folks. Copyright Act may be updated for AI royalties. That's what's being talked about when it comes to India. Speaking of AI royalty and copyrights, I just found out on yesterday, just yesterday, I wrote a post on LinkedIn where I pointed out how LinkedIn essentially was just, like sneakily using people's data to train their AI. The default setting for those people's generative AI training on your post was on, and I was like bewildered. I was like, how did you do that? I mean, you could have asked people to, for permission. That would have been okay. How could you do this? That you just turn down the feature and put it on, right, as a default setting. And now people will go to a godforsaken part of your website to turn it off. It's just stealing, right? That's what's happened. A person came out and said, where were you when those people were training on every artist's work? And I'm like, I've been an artist for 20 years, man. Musician, right? Spend lakhs of money. Why are you coming at me? I always wrote about these things. It was like, it hurts when it happens to you, right? I'm like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Anyway, moving on, folks. Sorry for the F word. Physical verification back with the bank as frauds bite hard. So, as you know, banking, the microfinance especially, right? The loans part, the credit cards, that part has been in the stress, in a lot of stress for a very long time. If you remember, we talked about how the chief, Madam Padmaja Reddy from Spandan Murthy, and then now running a very big organization. What was that, Kirtana? Right? She said that the microfinance business has a real systemic issue, right? And that particular thing was also true for everything that was going on with the credit card business, right? The credit card, a U turn for banks that had been digitizing services and simplifying ops into a single click. Now, uh, banks have gone on the defensive after a series of mule accounts were opening via digi banking. Branches have been instructed to open accounts for customers in. RBI has passed instructions that it will penalize banks if they cannot freeze mule accounts in time, right? Physical checks and mandatory branch or home visits by relationship managers to open accounts online, right? And also the cards business is essentially in the in a play. The new cards issuances are going down, right? Which is very necessary because that particular thing's provisioning was rising, right? As was expected. Moving on, folks. AI to place India amongst entities data top 5 market. Entity is NTT is the Japanese IT services company, which is also into data, right? Firm to invest well beyond its 2,500 crore, 2.4 thousand crore data center and 4,000 crore Bangalore blueprint. The firm is going up, right? And people say India 7% GDP growth and fast growing IT spend, reasons for a bullish view on the situation. So AI to place entities data markets. Data centers are obviously getting a lot of investments in every which way, right? And that is not going to stop anytime soon because, of the AI revolution. Moving on. Mr. Satya Nadella is trying to sell India's IT's big four to co-pilot Microsoft's AI footprint here. Says India's frontier firms deploying 200,000 plus co-pilot licenses and building AI factories. Yeah, that's cool. Moving on, folks. Cognizant enters breakaway AI-led growth phase, says CEO. Ravi Kumar said his meeting with PM was his awe. Marrying jobs in tech, Mumbai listing. Cognizant is going public, exploring options for a secondary listing in India. This is also a developing story. We've been talking about this. So take this PR with a pinch of salt, folks. Everything that you're gonna hear from Cognizant, it's gonna be taken with a pinch of salt. Moving on. CCI tells liquor bodies to delist from anti-competitive conduct. They must be talking about the wheelings and dealings with the government bodies that was found out, right? In the Andhra market, I guess. Was it the Andhra market where Tilak Nagar Industries was caught paying bribes in gold and so on and so forth for favorable treatment in the government listed, government approved stores? Some of that, right? Antitrust watchdog directed 3 wine and liquor bodies to desist from anti-competitive conduct, acting on allegations that they were imposing unfair conditions on manufacturers, distributors, and sellers of alcoholic beverages. Right? The bodies were Maharashtra Wine Merchants Association, Pune District Wine Merchants Association, and Association of Progressive Liquor Vendors. So that's what's going on. Liquor business. Moving on, folks. Global tie-ups for CA firms approved. Guidelines. ICAI chiefs. This is also a developing story. India wants its own big four in the CA, consulting legal play. Just as India is very good in IT services, it's not really good in consulting. It's not big in consulting. So it wants that, which is great news. Great step for everybody, right? Let's move on. We've talked about how the rate cut has given the indices a much needed impetus to bounce back. November inflows into equities mutual funds up 21.2% from October. Stock market strong show helps flow across categories. Year on year flows down 17%. So always two ways to look at a number, right? One is quarter on quarter, that is a linear way, and then there is year on year, the last quarter last year, and then you look at it, right? And that is down 17%, which should not be surprising at all, right? Which should not be surprising at all. Why? Can you point out a reason why equities are becoming a little less favorable as compared to the last year? There is one word which is the answer to this. uh, can you name it? Beer market. No, it's not a beer market. It's pretty bullish, but there is one asset which is taking the shine away from the equities. Gold. Correct, Mr. Sumant Kumar. Correct. So overall flows indicate rebalancing rather than fresh deployment. Internal show some rotation away from very short and long carry oriented categories, right? Uh, Money market funds reported inflows of 11,000 crores. Gold exchange traded funds continued to attract steady interest, reported net inflows of 3,500, 3,700 crores. So that's what's going on. Moving on, folks. Oracle's 14.4% plunge weighs on Wall Street. Oracle is in trouble. If you've looked at Oracle, Oracle's deal with OpenAI also in trouble. A lot of fugazi that they had pointed out, the $100 billion investment, right? It's in trouble. The debt is trading at $72 billion or something. So stock fell 14%. Tech heavy Nasdaq. Oracle plunged 14 after its quarterly forecast fell short of analyst estimate, and it warned an annual spending would run 15 billion higher than previously planned. So that's what's happening. Do you think this is going to affect the Paramount deal, Mr. David Ellison's deal for Warner Brothers, right? Because his father is Larry Ellison, and Oracle is the cash cow. Would Oracle's trouble affect the Warner Brothers bid of Paramount? Let's find out. Let's find out. Moving on, folks. Concentration risk deepens as 6% of MSMEs corner half of credit. Portfolio quality of sector, however, strengthened, right? Lenders to the MSME sectors have a concentration risk problem because most of what they're dispersing is going to a very, very small percentage of businesses, which is not good at all. Loan distribution at the end of September reveals a clear concentration pattern. 6% of total borrowers in the sector cornering 50% of total outstanding loans, right? That is not good news at all. Single loan borrowers dominate the market and their share rose to 83%. Total countries overall MSME exposure stood at 43.3 lakh crores. 43.3 lakh crores. How much is 43.3 lakh crores? 1 lakh crore is $10 billion. 10 lakh crore is roughly 10 to 12 billion dollars. 40 would be $50 billion. So they're looking at $50 billion exposure or F of MSMEs, right? The public sector banks dominate the micro segment with 36.3% share. Moving on, folks. Despite the spread, biggies keep playing credit cards. In their bid to clean up the books, many large and mid-sized banks have gone slow on card issuances. We've talked about this. Continued strength in the card segment has prompted caution among several large banks. New card originations have fallen 42% over 8 quarters to 4.4 million in the second quarter. A lot of people said India is a under-penetrated market when it comes to credit cards. And that's why BNPL is important. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about, right? Why do you say that India is an underpenetrated market? How is it an underpenetrated market? If Indian credit card numbers are low, you got to ask them why they are low, right? Because everybody who's eligible for a credit card is getting like 10 calls a day, right? I was going to the movie theater and two people asked me if I wanted to buy a credit card. That's how strong the credit card distribution segment is. Despite that distribution, if people are not buying credit card, you've got to look at the audience, right? Look at the audience. Like just as you cannot be judging the market because China has more credit cards, right? America has more credit cards. China has more coffee shops. America has more coffee shops, right? China has more movie theaters. America has more movie. What is this way of looking at things, folks? Who taught you analysis? Huh? Who taught you analysis? That's a very, very good question, but that is ringing true. So, anyway, in October, Kotak Mahindra Bank saw a net addition of 765 cards. Uh, so, that's what's happening. Banks are turning cautious because they're cleaning up their books. Not easy to acquire top quality customers without offering very lucrative deals and incentives, right? Uh, Kotak's card base fell by 34,776, while IndusInd's recorded a drop of 6,700. Credit cards uh, going down. Speaking of going down, Bitcoin has gone down by below $90,000. It's at 83 lakh rupees, right? Still over the 76 lakh rupees, which it was at its lowest, right? But Bitcoin is not really kicking it, right, lately. I look at a month, it's fallen 8%. It went lowest to 75 lakhs, but it's now at 83. Let's see what happens to Bitcoin in the long run. Dr. Michael Burry had said that it is the tulip of our times, right? It has no underlying value, and it has only, enabled a lot of criminal activity. That's what he had said, which is a pretty solid way of looking at things, right? I agree, actually. I agree. But the beauty is that uh, if a lot of people believe in it, right, that's enough for something to be considered okay, right? So Bitcoin is like definitely a Ponzi scheme. Everybody on this live stream, you get so many messages of buying crypto in one way or the other, which means it is a clear Ponzi. But if it is a Ponzi, right, and if it sustains, right, and if it just keeps getting sustained, right, it becomes essentially like money. And if it's enabling a lot of black money transactions, and those black money transactions become a part of the ecosystem in some way or the other, maybe it works, right? So that way, it's slightly complicated. But yeah, I agree with the thesis that the best use of Bitcoin until now has been enabling bad transactions, right? But as Mr. Peter Thiel said, even that's not going to work out for a very long time because agencies prefer cash. Uh, Agencies still are scared of cash more than Bitcoin. They'd rather have a criminal use Bitcoin than cash, right? Which sort of makes it even which sort of makes it useless even for that use case. So let's see till when the Bitcoin train runs. Rice output growing up may hit record 152 metric tons in 25-26. This is not good because it's going to lead to rice deflation, and exports of Indian rice to US have already been flagged by the Trump administration as dumping, right? So let's see what happens there. It's gonna be good for consumers, definitely. Rice production touch an all-time high. Production of wheat expected to increase to 117.9 million tons, right? Increase in planted area in season growing conditions. Uh, we've been talking about this. Yeah, that's. I was thinking if I'm missing a number, but I'm not, right? Oilseed production this year 40.3 metric tons, last year 41, so that has fallen down. Other than that, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. We had a good monsoon, guys. Congratulations. Rural economy still depends on the monsoon, even though Mr. Nitin Gadkari has been long talking about turning around the agriculture sector of the country by bringing in the ethanol play, right? So let's see if he's successful there. With that, we come to the end of the 191st episode of Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis, which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in, right? Uh, it was a lot of fun, as always. I hope it added value to you. I hope it was fun for you. Uh, it was definitely a lot of fun. I should thank Mr. Tashad Tari, Mr. Kaka Deep Patil, I'm sorry, Didi, Mr. Sumant Kumar, and everybody else who joined, right? Our daily dose of insights and analysis that don't lead to paralysis, our daily mental workout comes to an end. I wish you a beautiful day personally and professionally. And I'll not see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. We'll see each other on Monday, right? We'll take a weekend break. One of the last few episodes of Thinker's Frequency. 9 more to go. So that's gonna be fun, right? I hope you had a nice time. See you tomorrow. See you on Monday. Bye bye.